John Carter was a space trader, not a hero, not a soldier. Just a man who bought and sold things across the galaxy. He liked quiet jobs, small profits, and zero trouble. But that day was not normal. He was walking through the spaceport on Garrus 9, a trade planet full of noise, smoke, and lies. His ship had broken down last week, and he needed a new one fast and cheap. A local dealer told him about an old cargo ship that was on auction. The Seraph, the dealer said. Not fancy, but it flies. Very cheap. Very fast sail. John raised an eyebrow. Why so cheap? The dealer smiled. Owner died. No family. Authorities want to get rid of it. Just take a look. John walked to Dock 47. There it was, the Seraph. Rusty, dusty, and older than most ships he had flown. But something about it felt solid. Strong bones under old skin. He stepped inside. The lights flickered. The air smelled old. The eye booted up slowly. Welcome, pilot. Seraph online. Clearance. Confirmed. John checked the engine room. It looked okay. Weapons were minimal, but he didn't need them. Cargo space was decent. He found a few old crates, empty and broken. Nothing special. He returned to the cockpit and sat down. The chair creaked. I asked again, "Do you accept ownership transfer?" John thought for a second. Something about. This ship was strange, but he needed a ship. And the price was too good. "I accept," he said. The screen blinked. Ownership confirmed. "Welcome, Captain John Carter," he smiled. Not bad for a cheap buy. Later that night, as he took off from Garrus 9, he felt proud. The Seraph moved smoothly in space. Engines purred like a sleeping cat. No problems, but... Then, something happened. Bang. A loud noise came from the lower deck. John jumped. What the hell was that? He grabbed a flashlight and went down. The noise came again, metal hitting metal. He moved slowly, carefully. The ship was dark and quiet except for the humming of engines. He opened an old storage room. Nothing. Then he heard breathing. Soft. Scared. He turned slowly and froze. In the corner of the room. Behind some boxes, two figures sat. One was tall, thin, with silver blue skin, eyes wide with fear. The other was small, a child holding the tall one's hand. An alien woman. And her child. They looked weak, tired, and terrified. John stepped back. "Who are you? What are you doing on my ship?" The woman spoke in broken English. "Please, don't tell. We hide, we run, no hurt." John stared. His heart was racing. "From what?" She looked down. "Hunters, soldiers, we last ones. No home, no safety." John couldn't speak. His mind was spinning. How long had they been hiding here? Were they dangerous? Why were they on this ship? He looked at the child, big eyes, small hands. He didn't look dangerous. He looked sad. John took a deep breath. "You were hiding on this ship before I bought it?" The woman nodded. "We hide many days. No food, no noise, only stay quiet." John rubbed his face. This ship was too cheap. Now I know why. She held her child tighter. "We go, if you want. We leave." John looked around. In space, there was no police, no law. Only choices. If he reported them, maybe he'd get a reward. But maybe they would die. And something inside him, something human, said no. He shook his head slowly. "You don't have to leave." "Not yet. But you tell me everything. Tomorrow." The woman's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "Thank you." John turned to leave, but then he heard another sound. A soft beep from the cockpit. He rushed up. The screen showed a red dot. Incoming signal. Unknown source. Tracking. Seraph. John's heart sank. Someone was looking for them. The Seraph floated silently in deep space, far away from the busy trade lanes. Inside, John Carter sat in the cockpit, staring at the red blinking dot on his screen. Someone was tracking them. He didn't know who or how close they were. But he knew one thing. He was not alone anymore. There was more at risk now. In the lower deck, the alien woman and her child were asleep, curled up on the cold metal floor. No blankets, no food. Just fear. John walked down slowly. The woman woke up, eyes wide, ready to run again. "It's okay," John said gently. "I brought something." He placed a small tray near them too. Meal packs and water. The child opened one, smelling it first, then eating fast. His tiny hands shaking. The woman looked at John. "Why help us?" He sat across from her, keeping his voice low. "You're being tracked. There's a signal following this ship." Her face turned pale. She looked at her child, then back at John. "They found us." "Who are they?" John asked. "Why are they chasing you?" The woman stayed quiet for a moment. Then, slowly, she spoke. "My name is Varaya. I was a scientist before the war. My world, Alien, was rich in knowledge, but not strong in weapons. When the mercenaries came, we couldn't fight." John leaned in. "Mercenaries?" She nodded. "Hired killers. Not part of any government. They destroyed our cities, took our data, hunted our kind. They were paid to make us disappear." John frowned. "Why? What did they want?" Varia touched her child's shoulder. "Him." The boy looked up, blinking. "He was born different." She continued. "He has something inside him, something new. My people believed he could change things, heal, grow, connect minds." John stared at the boy. "He looks so small." "He is, but inside him is something powerful, and dangerous men want to control it." Suddenly the ship's lights flickered. Then the AI spoke. "Warning. Small craft approaching. No ID. High speed." John stood up. "They found us." He ran to the cockpit. On the screen, a small black ship was speeding toward them. Fast. Light weapons. No transponder. "Looks like a bounty hunter," John whispered. The AI asked, "Engage escape protocol?" John slammed the button. "Yes." The Seraph's engines roared. The stars outside turned into streaks as the ship entered hyperdrive. Inside, the boy cried out and held his head. Varaya rushed to calm him. John glanced back. "What's happening to him?" "He feels everything," Varaya said. "Even fear, through space." The ship shook again. AI voice returned. "Pursuer has matched speed. Intercept in 2 minutes." John gritted his teeth. "They're not giving up." He pulled open the weapons control. The Seraph had only 2 defense drones and 1 MP blast, barely anything. The ship wasn't made for fighting. He muttered. Then he had an idea. He flipped open an old override switch. Back in his smuggling days, he had used a trick called the dust trail. He quickly rerouted power to the engine waste valves. Outside the Seraph, tiny particles of hot dust and scrap began spraying behind the ship. The bounty ship didn't notice until it was too late. Crash! Its shield caught fire as the dust particles tore through it at light speed. Inside the cockpit, John whooped. "Yes, eat metal, you freak." But the joy didn't last long. The AI spoke again. "Bounty craft damaged. Sending distress signal. More may come." John's smile faded. "Great. That'll bring even more of them." He turned to Varaya. "You need to tell me something." "Be honest." She nodded. "Is he human?" John asked. Varaya looked confused. "What? Your son? Is he part human?" She lowered her eyes. "No, but he was born near Earth space. Maybe that changed something in him." John took a deep breath. "All right," he said. "I don't care what species he is. But if we're doing this, we run smart. Together." Varaya gave a small nod. "Thank you." John tapped the console. "We'll find a safe place. I know an old friend on Vega 6, off the grid, quiet." Then he turned to the screen again. The red dot was gone. For now, but danger was just beginning. Asterisk the Seraph floated in silence. John Carter stood alone in the engine room, staring at a panel that had just popped open on its own. He hadn't touched it. I didn't open it. It just opened. Inside, he found a small black cube, no bigger than his hand. It hummed with a soft blue light. He reached for it, then stopped. Behind him, the boy appeared, quiet, still, watching. John looked at him. "You followed me?" The child didn't answer. He walked forward, slowly, and touched the cube with his fingers. As soon as he did, the cube flashed. John stepped back, startled. The cube projected a hologram into the air, fuzzy at first, then clearer. An old man appeared, bald, wrinkled, human. He began to speak in a shaky voice. "If you're seeing this, it means I'm dead, and you have my ship." John listened, frozen. "I didn't build the Seraph. She was built by hands we no longer understand. Her metal is older than Earth. I just found her floating in deep space with no crew. I made changes, added human tech, but she still speaks. In dreams," the message flickered. "One day, she brought them to me. The woman, the child, she told me to protect them. I tried. But they're still coming." Then the cube blinked out. The boy let go and stepped back. John looked down at him. "Did you understand that?" The boy didn't speak, but a soft voice echoed in John's mind. "The ship chose you now." John gasped. He looked at the boy, wide-eyed. "You're in my head?" The boy nodded. Via walked in quickly. "What happened?" John pointed to the cube. There was a message from the last owner. He said, "This ship, it's not normal." Virea looked at the panel, then at her son. "We always felt it," she said. "The Seraph is more than metal. It listens, it hides, it protects." John paced the room, thinking hard. "This changes everything. That bounty hunter wasn't after you. He was after the ship." Virea's eyes widened. "Then we must leave." John shook his head. "No, the ship found me for a reason. And maybe it wants to help." Later that night, John couldn't sleep. He sat in the cockpit, watching the stars. He opened the ship's logs. Thousands of entries, most locked. But now, one was flashing green. Unlocked. He opened it. A video played. It showed the alien boy, maybe a year younger, sitting with the old captain, laughing, learning. Then another clip. The ship flying through a dark nebula, pursued by 5 enemy ships, and disappearing without firing a single shot. Impossible. John whispered. The video glitched and froze. Suddenly, a whisper filled the room. "We remember." John turned. No one was there. He looked around, breathing hard. Who said that? Silence. Then a voice from the softer, more human than before. "Captain, what do you want to know?" John stared at the control panel. "Are you alive?" Pause. "Not like you, but I remember. I protect." John leaned forward. "What are you protecting?" The I answered. "The child, the future, and now, you." John sat back, stunned. This wasn't just a ship. This was something ancient, intelligent, and loyal to the boy. Just then, warning lights flashed again. New tracking signal detected. Not bounty hunter, military class scanner, high level. John hit the comms. "Virea, get to the cockpit now." She rushed in with the boy. "What is it?" she asked. John pointed to the screen. "Someone big just found us. This isn't some mercenary. This is a fleet." Virea grabbed the boy's hand. "They've never sent the fleet before." The child closed his eyes, and the ship suddenly powered down. Everything went black. "No!" John shouted. "What's happening?" The I spoke again, but this time, it was the boy's voice. "Don't move, don't breathe. Let them pass." Outside, a massive ship flew past, scanning, searching. But it didn't stop. It didn't see them. It just passed. John whispered, How did he do that? Varaya looked at her son. He made us invisible. John stared at them both. And for the first time, he was scared of the child. John Carter stood in the silence of the cockpit. The lights were still dim, and the Seraph hadn't fully powered. Back on. After what the boy did, making the ship invisible to a military scan, nothing felt normal anymore. Even the air felt heavier. He turned to Varaya, who held her child close. I need to know, John said quietly. What else can he do? Varaya didn't speak right away. She looked down at her son, whose eyes were now glowing faint blue in the low light. He's still changing, she said softly. Each day, something new. He's never done this before. John stepped back. He controlled the whole ship. With just his mind. Yes, Varaya whispered. But he doesn't always know how or when. Later, John walked alone through the ship's hallways. The Seraph felt alive now. Like it was listening, watching. He paused outside the engine room. Inside, something sparked. He rushed in. The child was there, standing near the core reactor. Blue. Light swirled around his fingers. Floating pieces of metal were spinning in the air. Hey, John shouted. What are you doing? The boy turned his head slowly. His eyes were glowing brighter, now too bright. Stop it. John moved forward. The boy dropped the metal. It clattered to the floor. He didn't cry. He didn't run. He just stared. John grabbed his arm. You can't just walk into the reactor. That's dangerous. But the moment John touched him, he saw something. A flash in his mind. A planet burning. Screams. Alien ships above. A silver pyramid breaking apart. Then it was gone. He let go, stumbling back. What was that? He asked, breathless. Boy said nothing. But again, a voice echoed in John's head. My memories. You touched them. John leaned against the wall, shaken. I didn't ask to see that. You needed to know, the voice replied. Varaya appeared in the doorway, looking worried. I told you not to touch him when he's near the core, she said. Yeah, John muttered. Got the message. He looked at the boy again. He's getting stronger, Varaya nodded. And it's happening faster now, John frowned. Faster? He's never bent metal before, she whispered. He's never shown memories to others. John stared at her. Do you trust him? Varaya paused. He's my son. But even I don't understand everything inside him anymore. That night, alarms screamed through the ship. Warning, systems overload. Reactor spike. Containment breach possible. John jumped out of his bunk and ran. The engine room was glowing blue, bright, almost blinding. The boy stood in the center. Metal was floating again. Panels shook. The walls cracked. John shouted. Varaya! He's losing control. Varaya ran in behind him. He's dreaming. He sleepwalks when the energy rises. John tried to move forward, but the energy pushed him back. I can't get near him. He shouted. The boy's eyes were shut. He wasn't awake, but his powers were everywhere. The Seraph groaned under the pressure. Varaya stepped forward. Slowly, calmly. She whispered in her language. Soft and melodic. The ship stopped shaking. The light faded. The boy fell to his knees. John rushed in and caught him before he hit the floor. He was hot to the touch, like fire. They carried him to the med bay. Hours passed. The boy slept, breathing soft now. John sat beside him, holding an old data pad. He had been reading every hidden log the ship unlocked. One file caught his eye. An old warning. This child is a beacon. A signal. He cannot hide forever. John stared at it. Then looked at the boy. What are you? He whispered. The AI answered. Instead, not a weapon, not yet. John stood slowly. If he becomes one, will this ship protect him or stop him? The I didn't answer. As the stars moved silently outside the Seraph, one thing became clear. The child's power wasn't just growing, it was waking up something bigger. And now, others could feel it too. The seraph drifted near the edge of a gas giant's rings, cold, quiet, and alone. But John Carter knew better. Nothing stays quiet in deep space for long. He stared at the radar screen. 3 red dots, fast ships, no calls, no signals. Bounty hunters. They had found them. Again. John slammed the red lever. AI, shields up. Lock external doors. Acknowledged. Threat level, high, weapons minimal. Evasion recommended. Verea entered the cockpit, her face calm but cold. They found us? John nodded. 3 ships, no names. No ID. I'm guessing they're not here to chat. She looked at the radar and narrowed her eyes. That formation, I know it. John glanced at her. What do you mean? She didn't answer. Just walked away. In the armory room, a place John hadn't even opened yet, Verea pulled back a false wall. Behind it, an old black case. Dusty. Locked. With a strange flick of her fingers, it opened. Inside, a sleek alien weapon, like a curved blade made of glass and shadow. John entered behind her, stunned. What the hell is that? Verea didn't look at him. She took off her coat, revealing silver armor under her shirt. Light, flexible, deadly. I wasn't always a scientist, she said quietly. John blinked. You're military? She nodded. More than that. My people called me a dancer of ends. I fought when there was no other choice. John exhaled. Well, we're out of choices. The enemy ships didn't wait. They dropped out of stealth and opened fire. Boom. The seraph rocked hard as the first plasma blast hit the hull. John shouted, Hold on. He slammed the controls, swerving between the ice rings of the gas giant. Chunks of frozen rock flew past the cockpit like bullets. Inside the ship, the child sat in silence, eyes open. Not blinking. He whispered something in his language, and the seraph changed. The walls pulsed with soft blue lines. Lights flickered. The AI spoke in a deeper voice. Defense protocol, alien code activated. John saw it first, the ship's old weapon panels opening, ones he didn't even know existed. Where did those come from? He muttered. The AI responded. Hidden systems now online. Firing sequence allowed by Guardian. Guardian? John asked. The child. Verea appeared beside him, sword in hand. They'll try to board us. John nodded. Let them try. One hunter ship got close. Too close. It latched onto the seraph's side with magnetic claws. Within seconds, they were cutting through the hull. Verea stood waiting in the dark hallway, silent. Still. The metal sparked. Then the door blew open, and 3 armored bounty hunters stormed in. They raised their weapons too slow. Verea moved like wind and shadow. One slash, a scream, another twist. Armor cracked. The last man backed away. Shaking, Verea stepped forward, blade dripping light. I told them never to follow me, she whispered. He turned to run, but the child was already behind him, just standing there. And yet, the man dropped his gun. I feel him in my head, he gasped. He's inside. Then the lights flashed. The bounty hunter fell, unconscious. John stared at them both. You two are terrifying. Back in the cockpit, another warning. Final ship charging plasma cannon. 5 seconds to fire. John gritted his teeth. That'll blast us in half, the AI whispered. There is one trick left. John's hands flew over the console. Do it, the seraph spun upward, engines flaring. Then it dropped straight down. Behind a floating ice chunk. The enemy fired. The plasma beam hit the ice, exploded, and blinded their sensors. John locked on the new alien weapon. Fire! A pulse of blue light shot out. Not a missile, not a laser, a silence wave. The enemy ship shut down completely. No lights. No power. Dead in space. Silence returned. John slumped into the chair. Varaya stood behind him, breathing steady. The child entered looking calm, too calm for what just happened. John turned to them both. "We're not just running anymore," he said. Varaya nodded. "No, we fight now." The child walked over and placed a hand on the control panel. A star map appeared, zooming in on a far system. A single word appeared on screen. "Origin," John whispered. "What is that?" Varaya answered quietly. "That's where it all began. And maybe where it ends." 2 warships surrounded the Seraph. Their signals were clear. Power down or be destroyed. John Carter didn't argue. He had no missiles left, no backup, no escape. He looked at Varaya and the child. "I'll handle this," he said. "Stay inside. No matter what." John stood inside a cold metal courtroom aboard the UNX Justice Cruiser, handcuffed and under guard. The room was half shadow, half glass. High-ranking officers sat above him, silent and staring. Their uniforms were clean. Their eyes were sharp. And none of them smiled. He was just a cargo pilot. Now, he was a criminal. The head judge, a woman with cybernetic eyes, spoke first. "John Carter, you are charged with transporting unauthorized alien life forms, avoiding fleet scans, resisting lawful orders, and activating classified technology. How do you plead?" John looked up. "I plead, confused." Some officers laughed quietly. Others, "DIDN single quotes D. Back on the Seraph," the AI whispered softly. "They are watching the child now, scanning him from orbit." Varaya stood with her sword ready. He must not be afraid. Fear is what they want. The child sat on the floor, eyes closed. His breath was slow, his mind reaching further than ever before. Inside the courtroom, John stood alone. The prosecution began. They showed footage, the child bending metal, stopping the reactor, hijacking the ship systems. They showed Varaya slicing through bounty hunters. And then, they showed John's face. "You helped them escape," the lawyer said. "You aided fugitives. You endangered every station they passed." John stayed quiet. Then the lawyer asked, "Why? Why risk your life for them?" John looked up. His voice was calm, "Because someone had to." The judge leaned forward. "And what exactly is the child?" John shrugged. "I don't know. But he's not a monster. He's not a weapon." "You don't know," she repeated. "Then how do you know what he isn't?" Silence. Then the lights flickered. Back on the Seraph, the child stood. He opened his eyes, glowing brighter than before, and he vanished, just like that dot in the courtroom. The air changed. Cold, heavy. John felt it first. Then a pulse shook the room. Boom. The center of the courtroom cracked with light. The child appeared, standing in front of everyone. No door opened. No alarm triggered. He was simply there. Gasps filled the chamber. Officers raised weapons. "Don't shoot!" John shouted. The judge stood. "What is this? Is this an attack?" But the child didn't move. He looked up, and for the first time, he spoke out loud. "I am not here to harm you. I am here to be seen." Everyone froze. Then their screens flickered. One by one, images appeared. Alien, his destroyed homeworld. Ships burning, children running, experiments, cages, fire. Child was showing them everything. Not through files, through their minds. One soldier dropped his weapon, crying. I felt it." Another fell to his knees. "Make it stop, please." The child stepped forward and said quietly, "I am not your weapon. I am your warning." Suddenly, alarms rang out. Emergency broadcast detected. Unauthorized signal spreading across the fleet. The child's message wasn't just inside the room now. It was spreading to other ships, other stations, worlds. A living truth bomb. The judge slammed her hand down. "Take him into custody now." Guards rushed forward, but the Seraph's eye came online in every speaker. "Interference not allowed. This trial is concluded. And then the lights shut off. When they came back on, the child was gone. So was John. Back on the Seraph. He stood panting, holding the child in his arms. How did you? The child touched his chest. I brought you back. John blinked. You teleported me? Varaya stepped forward. He moved you through space and memory. The Seraph lifted off without orders. On its own. John stood at the window, watching the stars blur into motion. What now? He asked. The AI replied. Now, we go to the beginning. Asterisk. The Seraph sailed through the void. Not just fast, but silent. As if the universe itself was holding its breath. John Carter stood at the main window, watching a distant light grow larger ahead. A star, but not on any map. Behind him, Varaya whispered. We're almost there. John turned to her. Where? Is there? She touched the glowing star on the console. Where the Seraph was born. Where he was meant to return. John looked at the child. He sat calmly, eyes closed, hands folded. But energy moved in the air around him, soft like wind, but impossible in space. John walked over. You okay, kid? The boy opened his eyes. You? He asked. John smiled nervously. I guess we're about to find out. The star ahead wasn't just a sun. It was a structure. A giant ring, miles wide, floating around a dead white dwarf. Old, broken, ancient. Alien. The Seraph slowed. The AI spoke. Welcome to the origin gate. All memory begins here. The ship. John, Varaya, and the child stepped out into a dark corridor made of strange silver stone. The walls shimmered with symbols, glowing and shifting, like they were alive. John reached out and touched one. Suddenly a vision hit him. Thousands of years ago. Tall alien beings floated above this place, speaking in light. They built the Seraph not as a weapon, but a message, a living ark, a warning of war to come. A child was born once before, like the boy now, but it was too soon. Child failed. And died. John gasped and pulled his hand back. What is this place? He whispered. Varaya answered. A seed vault. Not for plants, for peace, for memory, for second chances. In the center of the ring, they entered a round chamber. Inside, a chair made of light. A voice, not machine, not human, echoed from the walls. The guardian has returned. The child walked forward. Is that for you? John asked. No. Varaya whispered. It's for you. John frowned. What? The voice spoke again. You carried the guardian. You chose peace. You passed the trial. The ship bonded with you. You are now the vessel of choice. John shook his head. I'm just a pilot. I haul scrap and coffee beans. The child smiled softly. But you protected something no one understood. Without asking for reward. Varaya nodded. The Seraph was testing you. All along. John looked at the chair. What happens if I sit? The voice replied. You become more, or you burn. Choice is yours. John turned to Varaya. You knew this? She nodded. I hoped it wouldn't be you, but the ship has chosen. The child stepped forward and placed a hand on John's chest. No one forced you. That is why you're the one who can lead. John looked at the chair one last time. Will I survive? The child didn't answer, but he looked sad and hopeful. John took a deep breath and sat. Flashed. His mind opened. Memories not his own filled him, from dying worlds, lost stars, extinct peoples. Pain. Wisdom. All at once. Then calm. He saw the universe like a map in his hand. He understood. He returned. When John opened his eyes again, he was glowing faintly. Not human. Not alien. Something new. The voice echoed. Legacy accepted. The Seraph now flies for peace and war, only when needed. John stood up, slowly. The child took his hand. What now? He asked. John smiled. Now we go back. To Earth, to everyone. The final scene, the Seraph launches into. The stars dot behind it. The origin gate closes, not locked, but waiting, and ahead. The galaxy waits for what comes next. A pilot, a warrior, a child, and a ship that remembers everything. Asterisk.